Okay, so I'm gonna speed run the fuck out of this because it is 11 o'clock exactly. I'm tired. I have an 8 a.m. But basically, I finished this book finally. Not finally, it finished in 2 days, but very good. I read a John Waters book as well. It's back there. It's pink. You can probably see it on the ground behind me. But I read that one as well. It was very good. And the two things that they both say in it and that I've seen in other books as well is kind of this element of being stupid and the importance of stupidity, which sounds like something that's very just, random and out there and like, really? Like, what do you mean stupidity? And kind of what their defining moment is. Also, the sticky notes are back. I like them. They're easy to write on. But basically what their explanation of stupidity is just this kind of like childlike innocence when creating things. So like in a book called Flow, which I haven't finished yet, but put the picture up right here. In a book called Flow, he talks about how everything that you do that feels like it gives you joy or that you are successful at, you do in a flow state. And so to induce this flow state, you have to almost block everything out, like all outside influence. And who is better at blocking out influence than little kids? So how do you replicate this sensation in your adulthood? Make the worst thing you can possibly make. Like, seriously. So one thing that you can do is, first of all, as we've talked about before, put on do not disturb, don't distract yourself, sit down, do whatever you're about to make, but make the worst version possible that you can make of that. Like, just sit down and just make the word, like, a horrible, crusty, nasty-ass version of it. And then from there, make what you actually want to make. See what happens. But make that dirty, dusty, crappy, shitty version, and then go out there and make what you actually want to make. And it will kind of just spark this, like, this imaginative state almost. Like, it's called stupidity now, but when you're a kid, it's called imagination, which is kind of crazy, but that's what happens. So make something really bad or just so like off the wall that, it's just like absurd. Make something like that and then make what you actually want to make. As well, experiment, combine disciplines, combine ideas. We've talked about this before, mix and match on your family tree of influence, go crazy. You're not gonna come up with something original without stealing from other people. So to make it more original, mix and match the most random shit possible and just see what happens. Okay, also, be light. Don't get overly attached to ideas, don't get overly attached to projects, don't get overly attached to your output. Another thing we've mentioned before, it's not your baby, you make it, it's out there, move on to the next thing. Don't be protective of things. Don't take things too personally. Be light on your feet. Be like Muhammad Ali. Was it float like a butterfly, sting like a bee? Be light on your feet, okay? And that you will solve creative problems so much better. Okay, so John Waters' book is called Make Trouble, I think, or Do Trouble, or Good Trouble, something. I don't know. I should grab it, but I'm already filming, so shit, we're just gonna keep going. But anyways, his whole thing is just, if you think of something that gives you like not anxiety, but it's just like, oh, I don't know if I should make that, go out and make it. If you think of something where you're like, oh, like that might be problematic, obviously assess it first, please. Like, if it's something insanely horrible, then obviously don't make it. But if it's something where you're just kind of like, I don't know, like, you probably should go ahead and make it for the most part. Now that I'm saying this, I'm like, shit, this is problematic advice, but it does need to be like said, because there are some people who are just way too reserved, and then there are other people who will go make something that is possibly really offensive and horrible. However, we want you to aim for the middle ground where you're pushing the boundaries of what's out there, but also not going fucking crazy. So heed this advice with warning, but like also, you know, push yourself to the edge. And then the last thing I've written down, but something that he mentions really early in his book, is he says, ask for the world and pay no mind if you don't get it in return. Basically, in layman's terms, dream big, create whatever the fuck you want, don't let anyone tell you what to do what you feel needs to get done, and if you don't get the response you want in return, move on to the next thing. I think honestly I should just make a whole video on moving on from project to project without like struggling with criticism and stuff. I know we've talked about criticism, but I feel like a video needs to be like that transition period when something's out there and you're like, okay, like fuck, what do I do now? Like the regroup period. Maybe that'll be the video tomorrow, I don't know, but stay stupid, my friends. You know, keep just that like sense of innocence and experimentation. Pretend you're a fucking scientist, like if you have to, like just, you know, it's the easiest way to like induce this feeling of not giving a shit, you know, just try and like act as dumb as possible when you're making stuff, and then all of a sudden you'll be like, okay, wow, this is cool, like let me build upon this, and then the real shit comes out. All right, adios.
Great song.